Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and today I'm going to talk about the traps of learning about narcissism. Actually, one of the most common advices when it comes to healing from abuse or leaving an abusive relationship is learning about personality disorders or learning about narcissism or just learning. It's actually one of those advices which floats everywhere from most online forums, from most YouTube channels, from Facebook groups, Reddit. And if you're not aware, you might find yourself in that rabbit hole of trying to learn more and more about narcissists or more and more about narcissism and those fancy terminologies. And in this video, I'm going to explore the traps involved. And actually, there's no problem with learning about them or learning about narcissists or psychopaths because it offers insight on who you are dealing with. But the problem arises when your mind latches onto that learning as a form of self-protection or your mind latches on the evilness of a narcissist as a form of self-preservation. And it's quite understandable to actually spend most times in the early stages of your healing journey or in the early stages of after leaving that toxic relationship to learn about them because you are still in shock and you are still in disbelief at how someone can just do those atrocious things or how someone can really go to that extent of just hurting you after the things they promised you in the beginning. So you may really want to understand how they could just flip the switch and like turn to the dark side, and there's no problem with that. And actually, learning may also help you with knowing their manipulative ways, knowing their abusive ways, and knowing their characteristics, and also lessening the intensity of your self-blame because you might be blaming yourself so much about what happened in the relationship. Some bit of learning may help. It will not fully help, of course, but it may help. So, learning has its place in your healing journey. And this video is not about invalidating your learning, but it's also about showing you why learning can be a trap. And it's that one trap which, if you're not very careful about it, will keep you stuck in your healing journey. That's why it's always important to keep in mind the potential traps of focusing so much on learning about narcissists or focusing so much on the abusers and their behavior. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 common traps which you need to be wary of before venturing into this, before embarking on your healing journey, or before finding yourself in that dark pit, or before finding yourself stuck with just learning about toxic people or learning about toxic relationship. The first thing you need to be wary of. Learning can be emotionally draining. This is because, like, if you've experienced narcissistic abuse from a loved one or from your ex-partner, it can be so triggering and emotionally draining to learn about narcissistic abuse or narcissistic behavior. This is because you are becoming aware of some of the things that they've been doing to you, or some of the things they've been doing to you in the course of the relationship which we were not aware of before. This is because, like, in the course of the relationship, you've probably been watering down, rationalizing, or making excuses for some of their undesirable behaviors, or for some of their lies, or for some of their abusive ways. So now when you start learning about them, you now start to realize that, oh, they've been doing so much damage to you. And you realize that all those things you were pushing aside, all those things you were rationalizing, something like gaslighting, and all those good things they promised you were all just lies to hook you in. So this is where you get to the point where you start seeing yourself as this fool in force or this stupid person who fell for cheap tricks. So you believed in the relationship, but the more you face and understand the reality of the situation, or the more you understand the reality of what you've been through, the more your mind and your inner critic will start like labeling you as someone who's such a fool, someone who so stupid to fall for those cheap tricks. So you didn't know about them, but the more you learn about them, now the mind is like, how could you fall for such cheap tricks? So you find yourself feeling so anxious, confused, even angry at yourself because your mind is now trying to piece together all the abusive instances they put you through, or all the abusive instances you went through, all of which you are not aware of. And the thing is, your mind had also buried some abusive instances or some traumatic instances, or numbed the pain when you were in the relationship so as to protect you. But now, when you learn about them, it's more like you are starting to dig. And you are starting to dig without having a safe channel to process those wounds. So it's more like you are exposing a wound, but not dealing with it. So the moment you expose a wound, of course, it will look fresh. Those traumatic memories will look so fresh. And when they look so fresh, it will be so painful and emotionally draining. That's why if you learn without awareness, you might find yourself inflicting more harm in yourself because you are exposing those unhealed wounds, and at the same time, it's just draining you because it's bringing to your awareness things you are making excuses for in the relationship. So that's the first trap to learning. The second and the common trap is learning is a distraction to your healing journey. So it's actually so counterintuitive. Like, you might think that the more you learn about them, the more you understand them, or the more you understand all those terminologies, is the more you will heal. But that's not how it works. Actually, the more you learn about narcissists, the more you are stuck with narcissists. And this is literally in itself, because the more you learn about them, you are spending most of your time learning about narcissists. So you might have left that relationship, but you are still studying about narcissists. So that's how it goes. It's keeping you stuck with that narcissist. And when you focus so much on them, you will get to the point where you are becoming so much obsessed with just wanting to know and to know and to know, instead of focusing on yourself. So in a way, it offers this path of least resistance, where your mind will just view the narcissist as people who need help, people who are flawed, people who need healing, and not you. And of course, the mind will always choose the easy path, and that's the path with the least responsibility. And this is now the path of learning. With learning, there is least responsibility on your working on yourself. So instead of you taking, say, full responsibility and dealing with the pain they inflicted, or dealing with the pain those hurt people inflicted, you are wasting your energy on the one who inflicted the pain. And I'm going to give you a small analogy here to help you understand why learning can be a very dangerous thing. So let's say you've been shot and you are bleeding. Of course, the best thing to do is to stop the bleeding and go to a hospital, or find a hospital. But if you end up chasing the gunman who shot you, you might bleed to death, or the gunman might shoot you again because you are still weak, because you've lost a lot of blood, so you are still weak. You are not strong enough to face the gunman. So that's what normally happens. You are chasing the narcissist, and that chasing, you might find yourself in another toxic relationship, or you might find yourself being hurt by another narcissist. Also, you are in pain on the inside, but your focus on the narcissist provides these necessary kind of distraction from facing the pain deep inside. And the thing about focusing so much on learning, guys, is it is an outside circumstance, and it may provide this temporary relief, actually, knowing that I was not the problem. Yeah, they were the problem. I was abused. But it also provides a temporary relief for those painful feelings of loneliness, self-blame, of worthlessness. So instead of listening to what that pain is telling you, or what that pain inside you is whispering to you, you are choosing to distract yourself with information and accumulation of knowledge, information and researching about narcissists. So you are suffering on the inside, but learning about them is like that band-aid, which will end up doing more harm than good. And it will keep you in pain much longer, which means that you'll be suffering with the pain. So instead of dealing with the pain, you are now putting band-aids on the pain. You are now putting band-aids on the loneliness, on the worthlessness. That's why it can be very, very dangerous. Another thing with learning is tied with this point of distraction from your healing journey is the trap of knowing. Oh, this is a very, very huge one. It's one of those traps I've also fell for in the past. And it applies to all aspects of personal development, actually. So here's how it goes. So when we learn, or let's not call it learning, let's call it accumulating pieces of information or accumulating pieces of knowledge, we get to the point where we think that we now understand everything. So it's the point where you can say, I now understand trauma, I now understand inner child, I now understand narcissism, I now understand NPD, I now understand the difference of psychopaths, the dark triad, abuse, red flags, and you get so egoistic to the point that you are telling yourself, no one now can tell me anything. Edwin, you can't tell me anything. I understand these people. And the thing about learning is the more you do it without really being aware of it, the more you are feeding your ego, or the more you are feeding your current perspective. So your ego will get in the way and trick you that you don't even need to seek any professional help. Like, you already know about narcissists. Like, what can a therapist tell you? Like, what can a coach tell you? So it's the point where you are just so full of yourself because you've racked up books on psychology, books on the mind, books on manipulation, and you are now starting to see it as a substitute to professional help. And that's the intensity of the trap. And if there's one thing that will keep you from growing is thinking that you've healed, or the common narrative is mostly something like this: I now understand them, and I don't even need to go to therapy, or I don't even need to seek help. I now understand them. So when you read so much without really being mindful or without really being aware of what's happening, you will assume that you know. Guys, you will assume that you know everything. You will assume that you know everything about yourself without really knowing that you can never know everything. You can never know everything till you start exploring. So you might find yourself going back to the dating scene while using your knowledge, while using the information you've collected as a shield, only to find yourself in another toxic relationship. That's what happens. Like, you might be a psychologist, but you might still find yourself in a toxic relationship. This is because you think that you know. And that's the trap. This is because actually some aspects of your healing are beyond your level of awareness, or are beyond your current level of understanding. And at times, just surrendering to the point of, I don't know, let me see what therapy can offer. Or I don't know, I'm just learning about this thing, but I don't really know if they are helpful. That's a really, really great place to start. And it's the greatest puzzle for your healing journey. Just surrendering and saying that I don't know everything. So your learning is probably just feeding you with logic, but complete transformation is going beyond the logic. The logic is going to the unconscious, or the things you've buried deep within you. So when you indulge so much in knowledge, instead of that knowledge uncovering those unhealed parts, because knowledge helps with uncovering, you are now using the knowledge to bury them more deeply within you. That's why it's so dangerous. The third trap is cynicism. This is where you have a very cynical, or you develop a very, very negative attitude towards life. You just develop a very negative attitude towards the world. You'll be getting more and more entrenched in seeing the evilness of people. The more you learn about narcissism, you are just looking at the evilness in people, or how people are never to be trusted, or how people are out there to get you, or just how evil the whole world is. This is because you are just learning, or you're just obsessing about the dark side of hurt people who are hurting others, or who are using other people. So you'll find yourself viewing the world from this lens of, or from this perspective of you now, the victim, and them, the oppressors, now the narcissist. So it's becoming a place where you feel that it's you, or the victims, versus narcissist. So it's not a world of love, it's just a world of hate. And the other thing is, you will also be on the lookout for narcissistic behavior everywhere. This is a huge one. When you are cynical, you are just on the lookout for narcissistic behavior, even in situations where it may not be present. You now start to point everything as if it's just narcissistic, it's just this and this, because you're just too cynical. So there's just this general pessimistic and dystopian attitude towards humanity. Like, humanity is just, the world is a very dangerous place, evil, devil, whatever you want to call it. Because that's what you're constantly feeding yourself with. It's not that the world is not an evil place, it's also a good place. It has both sides. But when you learn so much about narcissism, you'll just be looking on the dark side. So you're not even taking a break to see people who are making a positive change in the world. Like, let's say someone who saved some elephants, or someone who, let's say, preaching about love. No, you're just viewing this world from the lens of hate and hurt and this cynical perspective. And when you're used to darkness, all you'll be seeing is just darkness. That's why it's so dangerous to just overindulge in this kind of knowledge. So yeah, those are the traps. And so in conclusion, like, we keep saying that actually healing is a journey, but how do you really know if you are heading in the right direction? It's a journey, yes, but are you heading in the right direction? That's just a question you can ask yourself. So you may really think that you are in a journey, but yet all along you are just like a donkey which is tethered or tied to a post, and all you've been doing is just going around in cycles. That's what mostly happens in most of these things called healing is a journey. It's just moving around in cycles, but you're not moving anywhere. That's why the only one who can know if they're making progress in their healing journey is not even me. It's just you. It's you when you sleep at night. It's you sitting down quietly without any distraction, self-reflecting, and just being completely honest with yourself. In fact, like I always say this, the best place to be is to always tell yourself this: hey, I'm stuck, but I'm trying to figure my way out. Not, no, I'm okay. No. When you operate from the point of just being honest with yourself, at least you are now in a journey. So you need to know that the mind will always seek self-preservation, or the ego will always seek to keep you where you are now. And any attempt to change or any attempt to grow beyond it will be met with strong forces that seek to take you back to your comfort zone. Your comfort zone now is where you're used to staying in pain. You are used to not having a genuine smile or a genuine laughter in your face. So your mind will try to take you back there. That's why the best way to get unstuck in your healing journey, the best way to get stuck in your healing journey is learning about narcissism, is overindulging in narcissism, because it really looks okay and helpful. Like, I want to understand them. But the more you do it and indulge in those content, you are just tethering yourself to content on narcissism. You're just letting narcissism become your anchor instead of your own authentic self. And the thing is about learning is, knowledge is necessary, of course, but use your knowledge to release those restraints. But what we mostly do with knowledge is it's strengthening our restraints. It's like knowledge is still feeding that ego. It's not like knowledge is just keeping us stuck with the past instead of moving beyond it. And no amount of focusing about narcissism or accumulation of knowledge will actually ever set you free. But when you focus on yourself, when you focus on listening to that pain, when you focus on that anxiety, on that stress, on that depression, at least you'll be taking the right direction in your healing journey. And lastly, there's no problem with learning, but you can rechannel your learning to understanding your pain, your anxiety, your self-esteem. So instead of just picking books on narcissism, just pick books on the pain you are feeling deep in. Pick books on depression, anxiety, and now work on that. And if you want to like learn about narcissism, like seriously, what you can do is you can pick 2 or 3 books, or even binge some articles or videos on narcissists. But what you have to do so that your mind will not keep you stuck is you have to give yourself a timeline. You can say to yourself, I want to learn about narcissism seriously for these 3 months or 2 months. Then after that, you drop it. And this is how you will stop yourself from getting stuck in your journey, by just being intentional with your study. Like, why are you watching these videos? Even my video, why are you watching it? That's just a very great place to start. Not just watching it for the sake of it. No, you become intentional. So, no amount of learning will set you free, and you just have to be completely honest with yourself in your healing journey. Only you, not even me, only you can set yourself free. And that's the whole purpose of healing. It doesn't really matter if you know about narcissism or all those types of narcissism or the types of toxic relationship or red flags. What matters is just you. How are you feeling deep inside? How are you feeling when you sleep? How are you feeling when you wake up early in the morning? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling okay spending 2 years, 4 years, 5 years learning about narcissism to the point that you even want to do a degree in psychology so that you can understand them more? All those things are okay, but they are very okay when you are doing it from the perspective of your own love, or when you want to empower others but you've already become empowered. So don't focus so much on empowering others when you yourself, you've not empowered yourself on an inner level. Hope you found that informative, guys. So be more intentional and don't fall for the traps, and always focus on yourself. And then now, once after you focus on yourself, now you can start focusing on others. Hope you found that informative. Until next time, feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. Have a nice day.